Hi everyone, I'm Camryn, and yeah, I'm from Scotland, but I live in London. I have lived in London for the past 7, 8 years. Scary. And yeah, no, I my background mainly is in film and television, and fashion. As I'm a bit, I've become this person which is kind of like I like to absorb and do as many things as possible within the industry. I like to whatever kind of makes me feel joy. I kind of gravitate towards that. I also do some modeling and a bit of acting, just wherever wherever it goes. But I am also an access coordinator for TV and film, and my main role within the film industry is usually I work in the costume department.
So, Cameron, you mentioned that in addition to being involved in the modeling and the acting, that you are an accessibility coordinator for like on set.
Yeah,
So one of the questions we had is, well, first, we'd love to hear more about what that role entails, but also how that possibly related to your experience on the set of Wicked, and if there were any particular accommodations that were made for you and others with disabilities or vision impairments on the set of Wicked.
yeah, no, great question. I so essentially the access coordinator role is at the moment mainly directed towards TV. It's a very new role within the industry, spearheaded by some amazing people. And I was essentially what happened was I saw this role pop up in my just general sphere. It was advertised online for training, and I was like, oh, this could be very interesting, very up my street. I'm super proactive, and getting everyone involved, and making sure the industry is accessible as possible. I think it's super important. Like we say, representation matters, but also safe representation. And I interviewed for the role, and I unfortunately actually didn't get it the first time. And this was one of the few times where I think I just didn't accept that I didn't get it. So for months afterwards, lovely Sarah Johnson, who trained me up, I was hounding her, being like, "Listen, I will help you if you need any help. You don't even need to train me. Like, you want me to like get you a coffee? Like, I will. I just feel like I need this." And I, told her about some of my experiences on sets that I think maybe could have been a bit safer. Um, and eventually she agreed to train me up. So the role is essentially the way I kind of like to explain it to people is if anyone's familiar with the role of an intimacy coordinator on set, it's slightly similar in that retrospect where I am coordinating and facilitating and signposting, for the access needs of cast and crew, for anyone who wants to come forward. Um, so it's slowly starting, well, hopefully starting to creep into film, but we're just trying to kind of hone TV at the moment. But it's one of those things where when I do step onto set, and if I do feel like I'm in an environment where things aren't being taken seriously, um, or people are maybe a bit too scared to mention said needs, because this can happen a lot where you're scared to say, hey, I might need this, because you're the fear of not being hired again because it's very cutthroat. um so it's just about making it a lot more normal for everyone, because like access for anyone who is deaf, disabled, or neurodivergent is access for all. So yeah, with on Wicked, one of the main things I asked for was when we were filming a lot of the courtyard scenes, and Lovely Shiz, as Madame Marble enters, all of these kind of scenes. It was June, I think it was June, and we were filming in the middle of nowhere, in a field, in the UK, and but the sun was absolutely blaring down. and we're on set. I mean, on this set, I was doing wild hours. I think I was probably the longest day I ever did was 17 hours. Um, and so obviously you can imagine sun, 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 and I'm sure as a lot of people could relate, it's very the fear of the sun ruining my days there. And of course you're applying SPF, but I'm definitely one to always forget to reapply. But you know when you just know, you just know that it's there. So during takes in general, we we have like makeup artists that will come on and do touch ups and things like that, and they had um over makeup SPF. But it was one of those things where I was honestly just I'm so terrified about getting burnt that we kind of minimized my makeup a lot. And I actually had a small tube of SPF that I kept in my costume pocket at all times. I was like, no, not today. It's not happening. I'm not, I refuse. So I felt like I was glued to this thing. I was putting this SPF on and with the same energy as people will put like lip balm chapstick on. It was like constant. So yeah, that was the main thing I was really, really adamant about. And there was during the classroom scenes with Dr. Dillon, I was a bit. There was like lots of writing on the boards, and just we were kind of being told exactly what the scene is, and the kind of reactions they want, especially when the board turns and it should be animals should be seen and not heard. I Yeah, I was really wary about having my eyeline be correct. So I think for me it was really always about like double checking with those around me, and just checking in with people that I wasn't doing the wrong thing, because it's a lot of people won't even clock on to that it's not that you're not paying attention, it's that I need to have this information. So I think separately a lot, I asked a lot of the assistant directors to be like, can you just this is my situation, I just need to know exactly where, and I might just need a tiny bit extra attention in that sense. But as soon as I know it's locked in, that's fine. Um, and yeah, no, it's one of those things where even when it comes to being on screen, and especially when you're a supporting artist, you gotta get everything right very quickly. Um, so I just didn't want to push it too much in how much I was asking. It's really important to just read the room in that sense, because like I'm a big girl, I can figure it out. It's just if the opportunity's there, I will ask. And yeah, but like things like the classroom, there was a ramp built around the back of the classroom. For like Nesro's characters, just to get around, and like all of these steps. And I just made sure whilst I was there to just like look at the steps properly, blah, 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 blah. But hilariously, and I would say this is probably my funniest anecdote from my time on there. We God, this is probably one of my most embarrassing things I've ever done in my life. Um, I had we had been doing this scene over and over and over again, where at some point Dr. Tillman tells us all to get out. So we did like 60 takes of this or something like that, where I was sat down and I was one of the last people to leave. Where I had to run up the steps, come down the ramp, outside. On one of the last takes, our costume shoes were purposely slightly elongated, and the top of my shoe got on the top of the stair, and I, cartoon style, went like fell down, and it was at the top of a ramp. So not only did I fall down, I slid down. I slid right down, and that is one of my worst nightmares, especially in front of everyone. And they had to cut, obviously. And I just thought to myself, you either do one of two things in this situation: you either laugh or cry. And I chose to laugh. I chose to laugh so hard and be like, "Oh, what? Silly on me! I can't believe this." And John M2 came over to make sure I was all right, and just jokingly at the time he did say to me, he's like, "Oh, you made it into the bloopers reel," and I was like, "I know you're lying just to make me feel better," but yeah, and so yeah, that's been caught on camera. I would love to see the footage if if Universal have it. Please, I'm begging.
You did you have any moments where you got to educate someone on the set about albinism?
Probably, I mean, nothing that stands out, but it's only because I feel like I do that. It's general all the time, so it kind of nothing really. This isn't this isn't educating in any way, but uh, uh, Ariana Grande did ask me if it was my natural hair color. So at that point, I was like, yes. So that was probably the only thing I can remember from it. But yeah,
Wait,
no,
I'm sorry. Wait, you said Ariana Grande asked you about your hair color?
yeah, no. I got to interact with her a little bit. She was it's just super lovely.
So cool.
She was honestly one of the kindest actors that I've worked with. She made everyone feel very involved. No, she came. She came to. I started in January, and where there was one of the scenes, I had like a space next to me where there was no one sat. So she came to sit next to me to have a chat, which I was like, this is bizarre.
Wow.
Bizarre. And you was just a little bit of a chat, and she was super lovely. And then I had a couple of months where I wasn't there. And then when I came back, she remembered me and came up to say hello. And that was just it was so it's just yeah, it's I think that's where it's always great to have the brightly colored hair because you will be
Yes,
remembered.
you're remembered. We
Exactly. I
always joke that we're
remember.
famous. People remember us and we don't remember them. And then it's
Oh
an
my god, it's so true though.
it's so true because then we can't see well either. So then people are like, you remember me? And like, no, we
Yeah.
don't.